Hey there, my Thundercats fans, and welcome back to the sphere of your most beloved comic book series ever, the Thundercats. Today's video is of course going to be a pretty emotionally satisfying ride, if I'm allowed to be deeply honest with you all. Join me today as I take it upon myself to dive deeper into the lore of what I consider the most compelling, influential, and madly unpredictable relic in the entire franchise, the legendary Book of Omens.
The Sword of Omens is the greatest weapon of them all. Thundercats!
It's for those who don't know the tea. From the very beginning of the Thundercats mythos, this mystical artifact has stood out as an essential cornerstone of the Thunderian history of mysticism. However, what makes the Book of Omens truly fascinating is how its powers, its purpose, and the consequences of opening its pages constantly evolve with every new iteration of the series coming forward. It's never been merely a simple book belonging to ancient times. It is rather a gateway, an assessment, a cage, and a revealer of cruel truths of the world of Thundercats. If you're someone who's been keeping up with the utterly marvelous contemporary run of Dynamite Comics, you are indeed well aware of why we need to talk about this. But before we unpack the massive, game-changing revelations that just dropped this month, of course in February 2026, by bringing out the 24th issue of the comic series, we need to take a deep dive into how this artifact has shifted through the decades. Okay, so allow me to set up my time machine. All right, there we go. We're in the 1980s right now. Do you still recall the weekends you spent watching Thundercats via television broadcast? Of course you do. And if you're someone who's not well acquainted with the Thundercats experience, don't worry. I'm here to provide you with the necessary context. In the original continuity, the Book of Omens was the crucial repository of the secrets of Thunderians. Nevertheless, accessing it was no small feat, because it required either the Sword of Omens or the sacred Key of Thundera to be unlocked. Till this year, the Book of Omens has only been mentioned orally by the characters. So it is, of course, a full-circle moment for every Thundercats fan because they got to witness the unlocking of the Book of Omens in the form of an unforgettable final episode aptly titled The Book of Omens, thus providing emphasis to this mysterious relic. Witnessing this moment in the 24th issue, for me, wasn't a passive reading experience. It was rather a physical realm. Inside the Book of Omens lives the Guardian, a powerful being who presents ultimate trials to the Thunderians. To put a halt to the geological destruction of New Thundera, it was necessary to access the book, and since Lion-O had the necessary amount of potential and expertise, he took the action to put his fingers on the book and had to face off against the arch-nemesis of Thunderians, Mum-Ra, in a brutal unarmed warfare and crush the primeval campaigner named Pyron. In the 80s, the Book of Omens functioned as an active participant in saving the planet Thundera, serving as a magical proving ground that assayed Lion-O's worthiness as Lord of the Thundercats at the critical 24th hour. When the franchise was passed to the hands of the 2000s comic books, particularly under DC's Wildstorm imprint, the Book of Omens, however, took a much darker and more tragic turn. In the continuity leading up to the gripping miniseries, Thundercats The Return, Lion-O once again entered the Book of Omens to complete his training and assert his rightful place, being the Lord of Thundercats. However, the book was weaponized against him because of Mum-Ra, who cast a devious spell that locked Lion-O inside the artifact for years in real time. The Book of Omens thus transitioned from a realm of heroic trials into a mystical prison, and because Lion-O was trapped within its pages, Mum-Ra was left unrestrained to, without any fears of guards, conquer and enslave the planet Thundera. It all forced valiant Thunderian heroes like Panthro into hard labor, and even caused a fracture in the Thundercats family. This is how in the 2000s, the Book of Omens became a devilish, authoritative entity that proceeded to embody aching separation and the callous truth of leaving a kingdom unshielded. However, then arrived the brilliant, albeit short-lived, 2011 animated reboot, which reimagined the Book of Omens as a crucial guide concealed by ancient clerics in the heavily fortified Tower of Omens. The 2011 reboot thus took a more cinematic, technology meets magic approach. When Lion-O and his allies finally survived the treacherous expedition to secure the book, they opened it only to be met with a frustrating surprise. The pages were completely blank. The recent version of the Book of Omens required a deep spiritual connection, so it revealed its secrets only when Lion-O projected his soul and the power of the Sword of Omens directly into it. Once activated, the book functioned as a holographic historian, presenting to Lion-O the origins of Mun-Ra, the location of the powerful war stones, and the ultimate truth that overcoming the evil forces would require uniting all the disparate, warring animal species of Third Earth. Now that we've arrived at the present situation of the comic book, we absolutely need to talk about the phenomenal world building, which is taking place right now in the current run of Thundercats, published under Dynamic Comics, penned by Declan Shalvey and illustrated by David O'Sullivan. Over the past 2 years, leading up to the newly released issue number 24, we have watched a young, inexperienced Lion-O frantically struggle with the weight of leadership. After abandoning their dying homeworld and crashing on Third Earth, Lion-O has partaken in a countless number of adventures, trying to rebuild society alongside the planet's natives while battling the mutants of Plundar. He is engulfed by this profound hesitation about his heritage, his skills, his capabilities, and whether he can ever be as adept as the Thunderian leaders of the past. His desperation for and relentless pursuit of answers drives him to seek the ultimate truth hidden within the Book of Omens. In issue number 24, however, the colossal moment we've all been desperately waiting for finally happens, as we get to witness Lion-O converse directly with the Sword of Omens to open the Book of Omens. And honestly, the end result of this is out of this world, because instead of giving Lion-O a mere reassurance or a comforting pep talk, the book rather chooses to dump a core-shaking lore that wholly reframes the history of Thundercats across 3 ages, called the Ages of Thunder. And now that we're done discussing all the necessary details required for knowing the entire lore behind the legendary Book of Omens, let's jump straight into what the title promises. We're going to discuss what the Book of Omens discloses to Lion-O once he opens the book. The Book of Omens starts by first briefly revealing the true purpose of the Sword of Omens, which is currently owned by Lion-O, now that he's the Lord of Thundercats. It then unveils the secret past of Lion-O, as well as his complicated present and perilous future. It's being narrated by the Sword of Omens to Lion-O as he turns the pages of the book one by one. The 24th issue of the comic book entirely deals with the disclosure of the Book of Omens, showing a back-and-forth exchange between the curious Lion-O and the Book of Omens, which entrusts Lion-O with the useful information about the origin of the conflicting situation of Thunderians. The book at first gives a glimpse of what's left of Thundera as of now. We see Panthera, Chitara, Bengali, and many new faces that Lion-O can't recognize. It then unveils the past of Lion-O, the state of the planet Thundera during the Second Age of Thunder. The Second Age of Thunder was an era that subjected the planet to various developments and accomplishments, and there was no fear of enmity. Eventually, the planet reached a ruinous state when the mutants started dominating the planet. Lion-O's father Claudus and his dedicated allies, Jaga and Groon, tried their best to protect the planet's peace and ensured that their descendants did not have to undergo darker times in the coming future. With the passage of time, new generations of Thundercats vowed to carry the burden. Claudus became their caretaker, while Jaga became their tutor. Groon, however, disappeared. As such, new heroes arose to battle the mutants, and thus loomed the Third Age of Thunder. For generations, Thunderians have faced unlimited perils, because when they get successful, those around envy their success and then rise up behind in order to cut them down. The mutants then started attacking the planet relentlessly, which marked the end of the Second Age of Thunder. Reptilians, Vulturemen, Monkeans, Jackalmen, and Ratillas are all named in the book as the brutal forces that Thunderians would not be able to overcome. Their determination towards destroying the planet of Thundera culminated in the Great War. Such a miserable cycle of the Thunderians forging many wondrous accomplishments only to face the fated doom is inevitable and stands out as a recurring theme in the story of Thunderians. Consequently, in the wake of the Great War, Claudius banished his mutant prisoners to the Third Earth. However, this augmented the perils, because an ancient threat in the Third Earth, whom we all know as Mum-Ra, rose, and since he was well aware of the strengths and weaknesses of the Thunderians were now in grave danger. In the midst of reading this, Lion-O begins to grow impatient. The sword then convinces him to return to Mum-Ra's Black Pyramid, despite Lion-O's unwillingness, by saying that the pyramid is abandoned because Mum-Ra has disappeared since Jaga's attack on him. It also says that the answers that he's been seeking lie within that maze, and therefore he and his fellow Thunderians must investigate it. The book then provides a glimpse to the current state of Mum-Ra, who has turned skinny and even far more monstrous. It informs that he's not in the Third Earth, yet he wishes to return to the planet for the Sword of Plundar, which is present on the planet. Unlike the Sword of Omens, which benefits the virtuous, the Sword of Plundar benefits the evil, and once it's possessed by Mum-Ra, it can lead to a massive scale of destruction. The book then introduces Lion-O to Apex, a character of mystery who, as per the book's instructions, is wielded by Lion-O's darker reflection. The Sword of Plundar is now under the guise of an axe, which is being carried by Apex to avoid a tragic fate from happening. However, he's unaware of the fate that his signature axe is actually the same sword that can lead to devastating consequences. For further context, it's all the consequence of a tragic fate that Lion-O witnesses, which transforms him into Apex. The book then gives an unexpected revelation. It mentions the Third Earth as the original birthplace of Thunderians, which got poisoned by Mum-Ra against them eons ago. Due to this, over 200 years ago, during the end of the First Stage of Thunder, Lion-O and his fellow Thunderians had to abandon Third Earth for a new planet named Thundera. It's shocking how we've arrived at this revelation after more than 2 centuries, and what's more astounding is that this kind of addition to the lore rewrites the entire lore of the Thundercats. The book then teases what happened in the Thundercats vs. Silverhawks issues by saying that many moons ago, his brethren, Bengali, was sent to guide the new Thundercats a la Ligon, Neko, and Pumaira and didn't survive. The new team has survived, much to Bengali's oblivion, and since they're lost, the book instructs Lion-O to find them. The book then mentions that the Third Age of Thunder has officially begun, so all of the people must be united by Lion-O so that they can thrive under another fall that's looming for them all, since he's the Lord of the Thundercats. It then mentions that the swords wield the power of the Eye of Thundera, which can be accessed by none other than him. The omens thus will act as his compass. The 24th issue thus ends with Lion-O proclaiming his obedience to the Book of Omens. In other words, the recent issue didn't just let us see what's underneath the Book of Omens, but it also completely rewrote the map for this entire franchise. Wow. Just wow. So what does this mean for the upcoming issue? That is, the monumental issue number 25. In my honest opinion, we're about to witness a massive alteration in Lion-O's character as his imposter syndrome finally fades away after being provided with the necessary information. Another thing that I can predict is that the upcoming issue will deal with Lion-O's hunt for the lost Thunderian survivors that Jaga discreetly sent for the mission. However, there is this one issue. Will they welcome Lion-O and regard him as their lord? Or see him as an inexperienced child as everyone else has. But if you're assuming that issue number 25 will be the only thing shaking up the franchise right now, let me remind you of this other thing, the iconic Thundercats x Silverhawks crossover. Particularly after Panthera's satellite mission has gone off the rails, Declan Shalvey and Ed Brisson decided to collide these two universes that are the most beloved by people born in the 80s. And with the Road to War prelude dropping next month in March and the massive 15-part crossover officially launching in April, I won't hesitate to assure you that the stakes are literally galactic. I'm not finished yet though, since I have more to spill in front of you. We're getting a brand new Silverhawk named Chromium, the debut of the Thunderhawks team-up, and a dedicated spin-off series related to the arch-nemesis of Thundercats under the name Mum-Ra the Ever-Living. Now, it all makes us beg this question. How will Lion-O's new revelations from the book tie into this cosmic clash? Well, I guess the only thing we can do is stay tuned for the updates to come. And since I'm the most trustworthy companion of you guys, you better hold on and trust me as I say this. I'll be right here breaking down the 25th issue and every single crossover panel the moment they drop. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and also hit the bell icon if you don't want to miss any updates related to Thundercats. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, please smash that like button, comment down below, and also make sure that you're following us right here on Lore Lockdown. Until next time, Thundercats ho!
Thundercats! Ho!